No, the views and opinions expressed during RealBlackTalk.com do not necessarily reflect those of the staff and management of CCTV, the Cambridge, the community, the television, anybody else. The views and opinions expressed are of those who are talking. So if I'm talking, then they're my views and opinions. Hold me responsible.
Just joining us, this is MaximizingProgress.tv, formerly known as HighTechFever.tv. I'm your host, Joe Sponson. My guest today, Sean Broderick, is the Executive Director of Techstars Cambridge.
Good evening. Welcome to Crime Time. I'm Frank Pasquarello, Public Information Officer for the Cambridge Police Department. Nice to have everyone watch from 6:30 to 7 p.m., the most popular show on CCTV. Now
I'm your host, Brother John, and this is once again your tobacco education and smoking cessation support TV for Cambridge and the world. And I will tell you, in this part of the world, it is cold outside.
This is interesting because, as I have said before in this program,
Good evening. My name is Erin Becker. I'm the Norma Jean Calderwood Director of the Cambridge Art Association, and this is Creative Process. My guest this month is local artist Sarah Meyers Brent. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you.
It's great that you could be here tonight. So usually we start off Creative Process and talking about some of your earliest artistic experiences. So what was your first artistic memory?
I always loved to draw, and I did it all the time. I just assumed that all kids were just drawing all day long. I loved it. And my father's mother was an artist, so she would always be drawing with me together. So that was, I don't know, pretty early years.
Nice. So as long as you can remember, you've been making art.
Yeah.
I love that. So you've actually been up to a lot of very exciting stuff in the past year or so. You were one of the Walter Feldman finalists for the Arts and Business Council. She had a show down in the South End, the South End, Fort Point. And also you just won the Faye Chandler Emerging Artist Award in the Emerge Boston Arts Festival, and that was the first year. And Faye was a major supporter of the arts. So congratulations on that. Do you want to talk a little bit about that experience and kind of what it's like? We're going to go a little bit backwards, I think, but what it's like to receive that kind of recognition for the work that you've been doing for a long time.
Oh yeah, so nice. The Walter Feldman Fellowship was incredible. It was a year-long fellowship that provided guidance as far as career guidance and mentorship. And I got to work with Catherine French, who was at the Danforth Art Museum, and it was, and then I had a show at the end. So it was just a really incredible experience. And I also got to meet Walter Feldman, who was an amazing expressionist painter, and it was just really such an honor to be able to work with him and all these people for this, for the exhibit. And then, then just recently I was really blown away to win the Faye Chandler Emerging Artist Award. And it's really nice to get this recognition for this work that I'm really excited about.
Is your work still up at City Hall?
It's not. That was a pretty quick and exciting exhibit. It went for about a week. Yeah.
It was only a week? Oh, wow.
I didn't realize the festival was a couple days long.
Well, that's so exciting. So I want to share some of Sarah's work. You graduated from Skidmore, and then you did your graduate work at Brandeis and at University of New Hampshire.
That's correct, yeah.
Very nice. And we're going to kind of walk through, I think, some of your more recent stuff right now. All right, so if you want to kick it off, we're going to just switch to the other screen. So what are we looking at here?
This is, let's put it in full screen mode, might be better. This is a recent exhibit that I installed at the Kingston Art Gallery.
Oh, okay.
And this is really what my recent work is like. It's a mix of painting and installation work. And the installation in the middle at this point was titled Salvaged Garden. And here's a detail of that work. And it's made up of, it's mostly actually on canvas as a base, and it has a number of collage materials on top of it. You can see the pink, they're actually packing peanuts, and the blue are gloves. It's just a variety of different things, recycled paint shavings, there are some socks and underwear, and then vines that I made out of wire, and leaves. All the leaves actually have a vine running through them.
Oh, cool.
And to go back to the other image, I really like this idea of things seeping and oozing to sort of look like this thing is both growing and sort of decaying on the wall.
And that was made specifically for this show at the Kingston
I
Gallery.
actually, this is the second time that I showed this piece, and I retooled it for this space, but I had actually showed this as part of my Walter Feldman show before on a wall that was a lot taller and shorter, and then I redid the piece for this exhibit.
Is that why it's called Salvage Garden?
Yeah, partly, and also it's made of these salvage materials that I think are just so beautiful in themselves, even though when you kind of look up close, it's just a bunch of rags and stuff.
And I love the piece on the right hand side. I guess that's probably the viewer's left hand side, but that's also sort of oozing onto the wall and dripping down there. Very cool. And for those of you who aren't familiar, the Kingston Gallery is on Harrison Avenue in the South End. So let's look at another one.
So at the same time, like I said, I work on paintings and installation work, and this is one of my paintings I brought 2 paintings. This is called Dripping Plant, and these works is the same idea. I want the painting to look like it itself is sort of growing, decaying. I'm interested in this idea of things oozing down from the top, and I work on these paintings flat on the ground to help form them, and I work with very viscous material that flows around on the canvas. And I'm very much of a process painter, so I don't know exactly what I want the ultimate painting to look like, and it just sort of forms as I'm working on it, and the paint and colors inform the composition.
How do you know when to end the process?
Sometimes in this painting I made a very dramatic change. The composition was all right in the middle. It was supposed to be like a potted plant in the middle of the canvas, and then right at the end I added all that stuff at the top, and I guess I have actually trouble seeing if a painting is finished unless I do something somewhat drastic with it. I'm just sort of like poking at the painting, and I'll never finish it. So it's kind of a frustrating process because I can end up really messing things up, and then I have to just throw them away, particularly because I'm interested in the rawness of the canvas that you're seeing behind. The yellow, a lot of it is the actual original canvas.
Oh, wow.
But I really believe in that process of painting through to find something.
Cool. So before we look at some more, so they can see us again, where does your inspiration come from? You're talking about working in a process. Clearly the natural world inspires you. Your work has this like tangible, textures. There's a lot of floral elements. You talk about the primordial ooze. And so where does that come from?
Well, I think just life itself for everybody is a beautiful process, and also has a lot of pain, and so I think my work has actually been about this for a number of years. But these specific works have been very informed by some recent having kids and 2 fairly difficult pregnancies, and really in a very tangible way seeing what it's like to create a life that everything, thank God, turned out okay, but that can create itself, or could it just sort of this fine line between life and death, and something so beautiful and something so hard, and I feel like that my paintings are sort of like a meditation. So when I'm working, whatever life experiences are happening work their way into my paintings, and I feel like these were definitely informed by that.
Cool. I was going to ask you about how being a mother impacted your painting. That answers that perfectly.
Yeah, and then if you look, like that first installation we're looking at actually has a lot of my son's old shirts and different things that he maybe like is not using anymore. Or he was so messy, and that's just all the stuff I have, and I'm just putting it all in my paintings.
Nice. Yeah. Recycling. We like that.
Yeah.
So let's see. What are we going to look at next?
I have another painting.
Sure. Let's see.
And this one is part of that same series. It's called Dripping Plant 2. And these are relatively large, about as tall as me, like 5 feet by 4 feet.
Oh, wow.
And this is, it's the same idea where I just sort of worked the painting. You can see that I actually erased over lots of parts of it with that white. And it was as I was in the process of erasing, I felt like I found the composition.
I love the drippiness. I love how everything is just sort of falling down from the top.
And I used some cake mixers with this one too to get sort of this thick line that's actually like that flower on the bottom right is actually sort of like drawn in with a very thick kind of paint. I don't have a detail of this one, but yeah, I love that mix of the materials, sort of the thick paint, the thin paint, and still even the negative space of some of those flowers up top are still the original rawness of the canvas.
Are you using acrylic or oil?
This is all acrylic, and
Okay.
this one also has glitter glue on it.
Nice. Did you steal that from one of your children?
It just has sort of it gives it a nice shiny look.
Oh, cool.
And then I have another installation. Should I show
Sure,
that?
yeah.
This is an installation that I did at the University of Massachusetts, Amherst Hampton Gallery.
Okay.
And they have this very interesting space with this little tiny gallery, and there's an archway at the end of it. And I think one of the reasons she wanted me to show there was she was curious to see what I could do with this unusual little jewel box space. So I created this installation and installed it right in their archway space.
Oh, wow.
And then this one's a little hard to see, so I have two details of this one. This has, again, a lot of the same materials I mentioned before. This one also has spray foam.
Oh, cool.
And then all that material running down the left are actually gloves incorporated with dirt and spray foam. And the blue are a lot of paint rags, and again, tons of gloves. And other just fabrics that I've had around.
So I think you're one of the first installation artists that I've had on this show. I don't even know if you consider yourself an installation artist or a painter. Or
I guess I really
of the
consider
two.
these, I mean, I guess installations, but in the realm of painting, because they're still more flat.
But how do you conceptualize this? You know, you have the floor plans for the space, but then when you start laying it out in your studio, how do you go about doing that? You know, how does the thought process work? And, you know, thinking about transporting and then assembling.
Well, this one was really crazy because I actually was pregnant while I was installing it, like very pregnant.
No big deal.
And making it. So I made it low in my studio, and I actually constructed my own little archway that was lower. And then I had a wonderful student help me install it and actually do the painting for me. I had sort of worked out the concept in my studio, and then I instructed her.
Oh, wow.
And this is one of the first times I did work with the foam, because it's really light and it had to go so high up on the ladder. I believe it's about 15 feet tall.
Oh.
So the piece itself is very light and can be attached very easily to the wall. So I did sketches in the space originally to work out my concept, and then I sort of figured out a way to make that happen, even with my physical limitations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really happy with how this came out.
So you didn't spray any of the spray foam directly on the wall. It was all sort of assembled beforehand and then installed in the space.
Yeah, I had it sort of assembled the whole thing in my studio, cut it apart, and then reassembled it. Cool. And I was able to get it pretty well assembled in almost a day. Yeah, so that's actually the best detail shot that shows. You can very clearly see the packing peanuts, and some of those beautiful colored materials are just paint rags from my studio that I saved and put right on there.
Wow.
Along with a flower that is reinforced with fabrics and different kinds of mediums.
But it was a real flower at some point in its life cycle.
Yeah, I do like working with the actual materials sort of as a template to create some of these sculptures.
That's fantastic. So you have some exciting things coming up, if you would like to talk about them and sort of your process. I know that you're getting ready for a solo show in the spring. So do you want to talk a little bit about the process of preparing for a solo show and kind of what you're going through right now? And it's coming up in March?
In March, yeah. Well, I'm thrilled to be having a show at the Danforth Museum of Art. Because it's one of my in Framingham, which is one of my favorite places to see art, and I've been going there for a long time. And interestingly, we're going to recreate the piece that we just looked at. I'm going to build an archway and reinstall that piece, so it'll be like a portable archway piece. So that will be really interesting. So that will take some doing, and I'm also creating a site-specific piece which will be my biggest yet, 17 feet, 4 inches across. 10 feet high.
Wow.
These
How big is your studio?
It's really hard to fit it all in there. But I had to rearrange everything to make this piece. But they have these 2 little alcove spaces on the side of the gallery I'm showing in. So I'm trying to make a piece that will encompass the whole alcove space.
Oh, wow.
So I'm really excited about that. It'll be sort of like that for these pieces with things dripping down from the top, but it's going to get a little more sculptural and come out a little bit more, but I just started, so
Well,
we'll
that's
see.
exciting. You have a decent chunk of time, like 5
Yeah.
months. No pressure.
Yeah.
Wow. So, you're using a lot of found objects and materials. How do you go about collecting everything? Do you kind of hoard things in preparation for some of these bigger projects, or what do you do to gather enough material for something that's 17 feet wide?
Yeah, a lot of, we'll see about 17 feet, but a lot of the materials come from just the paintings I make, and I just save every paint rag. I sometimes get them from my studio mates or people in the studios nearby, and there's really anything that there are, I'm at the Joy Street Artist Studios in Somerville,
Nice.
and certain people, particularly some fabric artists or different people, put things out in the hallway for free. I always grab it, bring it back to my studio, but a lot of the materials really are from just my house or from things I already have in my studio, and I feel like they actually go a pretty long way. That most of them are fabric based, and then also different kinds of plant materials and things I have around. But I have been collecting like paint shavings and rags for years and years, so I have boxes and boxes of them.
Do you color code them, or how do you organize
No. I'm not the most organized person, but I keep it as organized as I can, so I can know where things are.
Find things easily.
Yeah.
Cool. What else do you have that's going on that you want to talk about?
Well, that's really what I'm focusing on right now. I also just became a member of the Kingston Art Gallery Co-op.
Congratulations.
So I'm very excited about that. I don't know if I actually this might be the first official announcement. Oops. But yeah, I'm really excited about that because I really enjoy the work at that at the gallery, and I'm really looking forward to showing with them again.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So thinking about your work, we talk a lot about the creative process and how you gather your sort of inspiration, how you record it. Are there things that you do? Do you take pictures, like with your iPhone, or what do you do sort of when you're developing an idea, when you're thinking about sort of what comes next?
Well, the installation pieces, I know I told you the paintings are very much process paintings where I don't know. I sort of start with a rough idea and then they evolve and change until I come up with a composition. Whereas my installation pieces are a little bit different in that I have these, I usually am being inspired by an architecture. So I need to figure out just technically how things are going to work and make some sort of a sketch to start with. But then I feel like the materials really make things evolve. Like I actually spray the spray foam and it sort of moves around, and and I often am sort of altering things the same way I do with my paintings, but I have this overall structure that I'm sketch that I sort of work off of, just because it's so large and I can't see what I'm doing while I'm sort of up there working on
50 feet off the ground.
Yeah. But I do take pictures as it's working, and sometimes I'll actually print something out and sketch on top of it.
Do you ever do any sort of like group critiques to get feedback, or what are your sort of, I guess, relationships with other artists in terms of the Joy Street community or larger communities?
Yeah. Well, I lost some of the studio mates, is the people who used to paint next to me in the studio. I used to have some people who came in more regularly, but I would actually like to get some more people in my building for us to do some more sharing. But sometimes I guess I send things to my friends who, to comment on, just like a picture or post something on Facebook to get some feedback.
Yeah.
Because I do think that's helpful. People see very obvious things sometimes that, you've missed. Yeah.
Like what's going on there?
Yeah.
Oh wow, we're doing really well on time. I wanted to talk a little about, you have a really great website, which you can tell everybody what your website is if they want to see more of your stuff.
My website is sarahartist.com. I'm glad I grabbed that a long time ago.
I was impressed that you have Sarah Artist, because there are a lot of Sarahs who are also artists.
Yeah.
So, but I love your statement and the way that you can talk about the creation of your work, and not just what you utilize, but you use words like ooze and this primordial sense that this is like where we're all coming from, and kind of how you're inspired by that. And I found it really interesting looking at your body of work, which goes back, I think on your website, at least 10 years, and just how, actually maybe closer to 15 years.
Possibly.
Yeah, I don't want to give away. We don't talk about age on here. But just the way that your 2D pieces and your 3D pieces talk to each other, especially with all the sort of natural materials. But you have some other work that I think diverges from that, and it's kind of when you started to really exit the canvas and before the drips, but just sort of getting really three-dimensional with things, which I think we have a couple to look at.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So what are we looking at? Oh, that's fun. I have seen this one in real life.
Oh, great, yes.
I think this was in Pretty Ugly.
I was Pretty Ugly at the Cambridge Arts Association.
Yeah.
This piece is titled Mommy Loves Me because one of those, a lot of these are my son's old shirts, and actually the big blue form is his old bath towel, but on one of the shirts it says Mommy Loves Me.
Aww.
And I stretched up a double canvas and sort of ripped through and stuffed a bunch of material in there, and my idea was I was just using the fabric as a foundation for the painting, and then on all these gloves and all this, and I was going to paint on top of it and add some floral material, but I actually just loved how it looked, just sort of with the initial collage. I left it just like that, and I love the idea that this stuff is, or to me, not everybody thinks so, to me this piece is just really beautiful and the material is so beautiful, but it, it also has sort of this creepy, weird quality to it.
Do you have a detail shot?
I do.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And you can sort of see the Mommy Loves Me right on there.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, again, to me, I just think the combination, there's something about these recycled materials that you can't really, I just think I couldn't create something that's beautiful with paint and the textures, I think, add so much to it.
But I have the sense that you think about this in the same way as painting, that you're painting with the materials. It's not actually applying color.
Yeah, it's almost bizarre because I am sort of, I'm very particular about where I put things, and I want the color to all balance out, and it almost seems weird how crazy I am about getting, and I like there to be like a seamless blend between some of the collage material and then the painting elements, like that bright blue color, I actually mixed that up as a color, and then I painted with that blue sort of in certain areas.
How do you get it all to stay together?
Well, this one had,
is that giving away a secret.
This one had a pocket, so that sort of helped something stay in there, but I do use a lot of acrylic gel mediums as glue.
Cool.
To stick things together, and then some of it was already stuck together from some past projects, and it was already sort of in those forms.
Hopefully not from like toddler messiness stuck together, but probably some of it.
Yeah, and then I had one last installation.
All right, let's look at that.
I think. Or maybe that was it. Oh no, that was it. Okay.
Awesome. Let's go back to the main screen. Okay. So we have 3 minutes left. Does Joy Street have some upcoming open studios?
We do, actually.
I think you do.
Yeah, we have.
I think Jeannie Motherwell shows there, or has a studio there as well.
Jeannie Motherwell's right next door to me.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and we have open studios, whatever that, I don't know the exact dates, but it's like the 21st, 22nd, the weekend right around then.
Of November?
Of November.
Oh, fantastic. And will you be selling work or just showing your work, or what's sort of your plan for open studios?
I have that. I just marked off 17 feet of my wall to work on this current piece, so I don't have a lot of room left. But I am going to be showing some work, and one of my studio mates is an actress, and she is going to be doing some sort of a performance.
Oh,
so that should be, and there are a lot of exciting things happening in our building.
How many studios are in Joy Street?
A lot. I think there might be. I'm not sure. There might be 100.
Okay.
Altogether.
So it's a big one. That's in Somerville. You should definitely visit Sarah's website, which is sarahartist.com, and also check out her show at Danforth Art in March of 2016. In our last 4 minutes, I'm going to pitch the Art Association. We have 2 great shows happening right now. Our Members Prize show is just wrapping up in the beginning of November, and we also have one more day of our Artist of the Year show that ends tomorrow at our Catherine Schultz Gallery, 25 Lowell Street. My guest next month will be Corey Shea. She is a local digital media artist, and she'll be talking about a couple of projects that she's working on, including a show that she just curated at the Nave Gallery. Until then, thank you, Sarah. This was so much fun. I loved seeing all of your artwork, and we'll see you next month.
Not staring at us.
Cenicienta encontró un amigo justo a su medida. Y tú también puedes. Adopta una mascota de albergue y hazla parte de tu mundo.